So a little bit ago, I decided that I wanted to make an 8K, 60 frames per second gaming YouTube video. A let's play, so to speak. So this video is going to be broken up into 3 different parts, 3 different events that need to happen. Number 1, we need to see if can I play a game at 8K, 60 frames per second? Can I record a game at 8K, 60 frames per second? And can I upload the video? Editing, that's no big deal. Rendering, that's no big deal. But can I get it onto YouTube in this format? Because I don't think that an MP4 can do 8K, 60 frames per second, but we'll see. I don't know. This is very experimental to me right now. Why don't we start with how these monitors are set up? So I have 4 of them here, and a 2x2 grid as best as I could. That's kind of why we're doing this on the floor. So the first goal that we're going to do is, can I play a game at 8K 60 frames per second? Now none of these monitors are actually, well, this monitor right here is actually 4K. This is a 1440p monitor, which used to be my old computer, and then these 2 are just 1080p TVs. So the first hurdle that we have to jump here is, how do I get all 4 of these monitors to be a single 8K display? I could just go out and buy an 8K television, but that's tens of thousands of dollars, when I can very easily just fake it here on these monitors. So the goal is, for this first part, I need to trick the computer into thinking that all 4 of these monitors are 4K. This one is, so we don't have to do anything about that, but we need to make the computer think that this monitor, this monitor, this monitor is 4K. And I've got that over here. They're all plugged in, all 4 of these cables. And we should probably talk about the hardware of the computer real quick. So I have in here a 9th gen i7, and I also have, as a graphics card, a RTX 2070. That has 2 display ports, 1 HDMI, and a USB Type-C. So that was actually a marketing campaign for VR, because VR was a huge thing just a couple years ago. It still is. But it was a huge marketing thing. Everybody wanted to be in VR. So they made graphics cards that had a USB Type-C on it so you could plug in your VR headset into it. So I have, for these monitors, 2 DisplayPort cables and 2 HDMI cables. Well, now, that's the first hurdle right there, is how do I plug in an HDMI cable into this USB Type-C? Well, secret weapon in my back pocket here, I have a USB-C to HDMI converter. This is for like phones, I think. Or maybe it's an Apple product. It is, it's an Apple product. That's kind of weird. So it does HDMI out, but it also does USB in and power delivery. So this is going to be a little weird to do. Let's see if we can do that. I plug that in. That's no problem. Alright, we should turn on the monitors. Alright, so all the monitors are on and in standby mode. And we're going to try to use this Type-C dongle, because this is the one thing that I think probably wouldn't work so far. So I believe that's this monitor right here. So keep an eye on this monitor up here. The top right one. And is that a good sign? Alright, so let's try other monitors. So this cable right here, the first of the display ports is this monitor right here, bottom right. Did my computer go to sleep? Is that what happened? It might have. There we go. Okay, so we have one picture. This is probably 1440p, because that's the native display of the monitor. So we're going to do the other display port now, which is the monitor right over here. Oh, okay. Okay, there we go. So we got 2 monitors working. This is exciting for me. Maybe not for you. Alright, so the upper left monitor is going to turn on now. Alright, well this is why we're troubleshooting, isn't it? Oh, it's set to disconnect this display? extend. Oh. Oh, God. Hey, there we go. Okay, so there's 3. And then we'll retry this USB Type-C display with fingers crossed, because otherwise the video would probably end here. Oh. Display connection might be limited. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we got 4 monitors working. Now we need to hop into the NVIDIA control panel. Here we go. Ready for this? And we need to convince the computer that these 3 monitors are actually 4K. We need to fake it. The computer will render and push all those pixels to the monitors, but you won't be able to see it because the native resolution is 1440p. That's all you're going to see. But the computer will push 4K to this monitor, all 4 of them, making it 8K. So let's see. Let's come back over here. So now we gotta change resolution. That's what we need to do. Let me actually get a screen capture going here real quick. So we should be able to see what's happening here. So, okay, that monitor keeps cutting out. Why is that a thing? This monitor is fine. We don't need to change it. It's already running at 4K, 60 frames per second. We need this monitor to go to 4K, but it's not an option on this list. We have to give it the option, create a custom resolution, and we need to tell it 3840 by 2160. 60 frames per second, color depth, blah, 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 test. We want 60. This monitor over here, the 4K monitor, can technically be upscaled just like this. We can see this worked. It can technically be upscaled to 8K, but only 30 frames per second. It's only doing 30 hertz when I try and upscale it to 8K. I could do it on one monitor, but it's half the refresh rate because of the limitations of DisplayPort cables. So there we go. We have a custom resolution for that one. Now we need to make 2 others. 3840 by 2160. Okay, so now we need to do this top right one. The taskbar is popping in. It's really small. That's a good sign. Yes. Okay. So far this is going pretty smoothly, I'll say. Alright. So now that I've told NVIDIA that each of these monitors are actually 4K, we have to tell it configure surround and PhysX. That's what we want. Now we need to tell the computer, we need to trick it into thinking that all 4 of these displays are actually one display. So now we're going to do span displays with surround. Where's my mouse? I lost my mouse. My mouse is gone. Oh, I saw it. There it is. Okay, so span displays with surround and configure. Oh, I got to close a bunch of programs. Okay, so I closed out of OBS because it told me I had to. I want to... 2x2, where is that? 2x2, here we go. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 displays are selected. 1, 3, and 2 are flipped. Whoa. Okay. And there we go. I think we've done it. Let me open up display real quick. Yep, right there. 7680 by 4320. That is 8K right there. So the computer thinks that this is one monitor running at 8K 60 hertz. We still have to play a game. We've done like the first part of part 1. So now I want to see, we're going to launch Minecraft, and I'm going to see if I can play Minecraft at 8K. And that's going to be the real tell if this is possible. Oh my god. Oh, this is weird. Alright, what are our frames up there? We're getting about 116, 7680 by 4320. We are playing at 8K on this. And over here, I gotta lean over to do it. 118, I think that's because I have a frame limiter on. Hold on. Yeah, my max frame rate is... Alright, so let's turn that up to max. And we're at 300 frames per second. That can't be right. I can't be playing Minecraft at 300 frames per second at 8K. That can't be right. Really? There's a little bit of screen jiggle because of the different response times of these monitors. You can kind of see. There's a little bit of desync, but virtually it's pushing it at the same time. So digitally versus physically, it's different. I knew going into this that I wasn't going to be playing like Red Dead Redemption 2 or a huge AAA title at this resolution. I was more focused on Minecraft, esports titles like CSGO, but this is like above my expectations. Now that we know that we can run a game, that is part 1 done. So part 2 is, can I record it? So we're going to open up GeForce Experience. Again, NVIDIA coming in clutch for this project because we need shadow play, basically. The GeForce Experience shadow play feature, the recording part of it, actually doesn't render a video file while it's recording. It takes the frames that it's rendering and pushing to your monitor and just dumps it into a file. Every other recording software has to re-render what it's seeing instead of just doing what GeForce Experience does. So when we hit record settings, oh, this is going to be weird to show. So we're already recording at 4K, 60 frames per second. So we need to change that to in-game, 60 frames per second, a decent bitrate save, exit, and then let's go full screen with the game, and then start recording. I hit a hotkey. There it is. Recording has started. And then I go, recording done. Recording has been saved. And then I go, pop out of this. I gotta go to where that file is on my hard drive. So recording, base profile, it looks like, is what it got named as. Uh-oh, 4K. That's not good. So shadow play has a maximum recording resolution of 4K, unfortunately. That was kind of our biggest hope there. That was our biggest fingers crossed moment because it's very hard to software record 8K. There is a solution to this setup in the form of video capture cards. I could take each one of these video cables coming out of here and convert it to an HDMI signal and then run that through a 4K 60 frame capture card, each one of them times 4, and then in the editing program stitch them together. That would be A, expensive, B, it would introduce juddering across the frames because I would need to sync each one of these frames, and if they're even a little bit off in the recording, it's going to really show. That frame off sync will just continuously show up, even if I resync every like 3 frames. You know, that's not a solution that is worth it. There is, however, one device that would do this perfectly. It was like it was made for this specific operation. Blackmagic makes a capture card that is 4 inputs, and it can do them all at 4K 60 frames, and it records them all at the same time. But it's $500, $600. This is where it stops right in its tracks. I'm really bummed that I couldn't get this to work, but I got pretty close. And I think that kind of counts for something, doesn't it? All right, so part 3, here we are on the desktop. I did some research, and I found out that there might actually be something that we can do about this in OBS. So I'm not actually screen recording right now. This is actually going through my capture card because I'm going to need as much of my GPU power as I can. As you can see, I got all my stats over here on the right. So we'll go in here and we'll see in our video, we're at 8K, 60 frames per second. We're not downscaling, so you can see our output and our base resolution are exactly the same. And we are using recording in our output as the new NVIDIA NVENC encoder at 50 megabytes per second. That's pretty okay. Not great for 8K, but it's okay for testing stuff out. Actually, I'm going to drop that to about 20 megabytes per second. And it's recording to our recording drive at an MP4. Start recording. Bam, NVENC encoder. Well, the parameters are not exactly correct. And I thought, well, that's weird. It worked okay in 4K. What if I drop it to 30 frames per second? Try it again. Bing, no, failed recording. So I did some research off camera and I can switch over to a custom output. I can specifically set custom outputs. I know MOV, so that's QuickTime. That's Apple's dedicated container for videos. The two most common ones that people know is MP4 and MOV, which is PC and Apple, you know, the difference. MOV is actually really nice because it writes all of the video information that you need at the very front of the video. So if for any reason the recording crashes or stops involuntarily, then you won't lose any of that footage. You'll just stop the video right there because it doesn't need that end. It doesn't need a footer at the end of the video. It can just cut the video off right there. MP4, on the other hand, needs to be ended and be written a footer for the container so it goes, this is how long the video is. So MOV is actually a good choice here because if something breaks, I don't lose it. We want our encoder. Well, now we have a whole bunch of options. I think we want the HEVC NVENC encoder. How about that? Now this I put in here myself. This is the fastest preset for your video encoder that you can do. If you've done a little bit of streaming, maybe a little bit of video recording, you would know that the faster the preset, the faster it encodes and the less it takes a toll on your system's hardware. This is the fastest it can do for NVENC encoder. And we can try. How are we doing over here? 50, 45, 48. CPU's not taking much of a hit. And it seems to be okay. So we'll stop the recording. And how did it show up? Well, howdy doody. It made a file. Look at that. 20 megabits per second. And it's got a thumbnail and everything. This'll work. This works. 8K. 30 frames per second. That's right. We didn't change it yet. Let's go settings. Back in here. Video. Set to 60. Apply. Now watch this GPU. Start recording. 60, 70, and we're already over it. So we're actually pinned at 100% GPU right now, which means that we're not getting a perfect 60. In fact, we're getting an encoding overload, turn down video settings, or use a faster encoding preset. We can't go any faster than this. And we don't want to turn down any video settings because we want 8K 60 frames per second. But we're pinned right there at 100%. It will make a file. Oh, so this will happen often as well. OBS crashed. And I saw this happen a lot, actually. So sometimes when the OBS gets overloaded like that and everything gets pinned, it's not actually rendering that video properly because it's being pinned at 100%. So then it has to try and catch up to what it's trying to record and it crashes. Maybe we don't need 60 frames per second. What if we do something like 50, like the PAL standard, right? So let's see that. Start. 76, 79, 77, 79. Looks like we're about 75 to 80% GPU usage. So just shooting down like 10 frames per second, we're well within that range. When we stop the recording and it doesn't crash, it didn't crash. And then there's our file. Easy peasy, right? So, I mean, we can do it again. Start recording. And I stop the recording. Here it is. It's being finalized right now. There it is. I mean, we could maybe push it a little bit more, like to like 53, 54, maybe? Can we do 54? 79, 83. It was a 5% boost. That is rough. And then I stopped the recording and look what happened. OBS crashed. However, the file is still here. It got made at 54 frames per second, 8K. It's right there. It's right on that line. That extra 6 frames per second is keeping me from the 8K footage that I'm trying to record. The limitations of an RTX 2070, I cannot record any higher
than 8K 54, maybe 55. I could push it to 55. That would bring instability, and of course, I don't know, OBS would probably crash. I don't know. However, the new GPUs are coming out soon, and you better believe I want to try and get my hands on an RTX 3080 because it boasts like it's probably actually twice the performance. The numbers have been thrown around all week, but like it probably is double the performance of a 2070. And I cannot wait because then we'll have a part 2 to this video. Let's see if we could do it. Minecraft at 8K? Come on. Like, come on. Seriously? It would be so good. But after all is said and done, this is all we got. An 8K 30 frames per second Minecraft, I'm sure would be very possible for me. But as it sits right now, this is what we have. That'll be the end of the video. I'm actually going to toss it to my past self to finish off the video.
So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I love doing experimental projects like this. I love pushing the boundaries of what my computer can do and creating something really weird in the process, like pushing 8K resolution to 4 monitors. That's kind of crazy. So if you like things like this, make sure to tell me by leaving a comment or maybe even subscribing to the channel, just in case I decide to do something like this again in the future. So again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video, which will probably be a gameplay video, but it won't be at 8K. So we'll see you then. Bye-bye.